everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home on IC Radio. We're your source for news and information. You can find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, as well as Abundant TV, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. It's so good to be with you today. Lots of great things are happening at the Abundant television station. I had Rob Patz with me on the show last weekend. We're in Australia and other parts of the world, but he's also has some things that are happening across all across Europe. So we're really proud to have this on board with us. DeJoly is one of my favorite folks right here. I'm looking at that Christmas tree in the background. I love it.
Thank you. I was surprised that I could fit it in my living room.
Well, it's nice. Is that a real tree? It looks like a real one.
No, it actually looks really well, but it's artificial, but it's 7 foot tall by 5 foot wide.
Yeah,
But
you're right.
I have 8 foot ceilings. I found
Uh,
out.
absolutely.
Yeah, I love my tree. There's something about the lights of Christmas. A Christmas tree that I can sit in the evening with a cup of hot chocolate and my dog on my lap and just kind of stare at the tree, and remember, things from my past, because on the tree I have ornaments from the last 50 years. So, I buy myself, or somebody else buys for me, one ornament a year, and have filled in the trees over the years with all these ornaments, and I can sit back and just kind of remember where I got those, and what kind of life I was having at the time, or who I was with, whatever, and kind of makes me content and grateful and all of that. I look back, I say to myself, boy, you had a kind of a rough start in life, but I still am grateful, even for
And
that.
I'm grateful too. And I'm just glad that you're part of my life. And
Uh,
you've been a great part of my life. Let's talk for a few minutes about the upcoming year. A lot of folks will go on ahead and start making those plans for the year, and sometimes they fit goals in there, and sometimes they're easy goals to attain, and sometimes they're goals that we know we're not going to do it. Like I know I'm not going to do like walk 10 miles a day. So so how important is
you
it to
don't have
set a
time
real? Well, I probably do. I'm just not timing it. So I do a lot of walking. I just don't. I'm not sure it's that much. But how important is it to set some kind of a goal for the upcoming year?
Well, I would say that, I mean, I'm not necessarily goal oriented, but I do like a goal of having love and contentment in my life. I love generalized kind of things, because I know specifics. If I'm like you, I'm not going to walk 10 miles a day or lose 50 pounds in the first 2 months, or that kind of thing. But I will keep mindful of having joy in my life, having a loving heart, having a giving heart, those kinds of things. I like to feel grateful for the things that I have, even though, I don't have much, but I do have a really good life after all that I've, gone through. So I think it's important for us as human beings to connect and be grateful for each other, because I'm grateful for you in my life for sure. And Phil on the side.
We couldn't have this show without him.
Oh, that's right. That's right. So, but I think it's real important. I know they say Thanksgiving is the time for gratitude, but for me, it's all year long. But I want to just say that it's important as far as a goal to keep myself mindful of being grateful.
Mhm,
So you just don't get grateful on the day of Thanksgiving.
mhm,
That gratitude spills out into other actions that you might take. Like the other day, I'm not bragging on myself. Please don't take it this way. But two of my friends and I went to a light show in Lawrenceville, north of Atlanta, and we had a blast. We just had a great time. And so afterwards, we were looking for things to do, and we found Sprouts. Sprouts is like a Whole Foods over there. So we went in there and we had, got some stuff, and there was a woman at the checkout who was having a hard time paying for her stuff, and she needed $7.42. So I reached in my purse and I got out a $10 bill and I put it on the counter for her. And she reached over with tears in her eyes and hugged me. Now, I'm not saying that because I'm bragging on myself, but earlier, a week ago, I was given $10 with the idea of paying it forward because the person that gave me that money, it was paid forward to her when she went to buy gas. Somebody had paid for $10 for her. So I'm saying we have to be mindful that there are opportunities for us to be grateful. We can find all kinds of reasons not to be grateful, but for me, it's important to be mindful and be mindful of what I have. And if I can give, I will.
Mhm. I'm really glad you brought out that point. And another thing the enemy gives to us is when we feel defeated. And if we're not really, really careful, that can carry on the rest of our lives. And it kind of brings I kind of I almost believe kind of like in a karma, almost what goes around comes around. But the Bible also says something about, you reap what you sow, which is
Hmm.
to me is kind of the same thing. So I don't know, I just feel like when I give something good, something good's going to come back. But we can't feel defeated, otherwise we're not going to feel good about giving.
Yeah. And it's not something expected. You don't give with the expectation that, okay, I'm going to wait for my good stuff. It's just that you give, period. And then you're grateful when something does happen that is a benefit to you. So, yeah, I think that we have to be mindful of those moments when we can and should be grateful for what we have. Because there are plenty of people who don't have what I have. And although I don't have much, I do have more than a lot of people. And I have connection with good people like you and some friends that I have. I know that when I was young, I had lots of opportunities to feel defeated. I didn't have a way to get out and to say to somebody, I need help. I didn't have that. So now, when I have the opportunity to help, by golly, I'm going to help. You know, so it's just the idea that you you don't bring the past into your present, but you do in the present moment. You have to be mindful of, where do I stand with this? Where do I give and take? What is all of this about? And the thoughts that you have at the moment are, if they are in the moment, then you don't even have to, it isn't even a thought. You just do it. And I know you know that because you do it all the time. But there are some people who I know who don't do unless there's something in return for them.
Yeah. Mhm. Absolutely. It's all about giving.
Yeah, it is. And that's the whole thing about Christmas. I was listening to my Christmas music, and I had Reba McEntire came on, and she was telling this story about the three wise men and the gifts and all that stuff, and that you can. She was talking to a group of children, and she was saying, um, when you open your presents from, Grandma and Auntie Jane and all that stuff, you say, I'm opening this one for you, Jesus, that kind of thing. And although not everybody believes in Jesus, they do have the feeling of, um, oh, this is magnificent. This is the best present ever until the next one. And then it's the next present is the best present ever. But the idea of giving and getting, receiving is just as important as giving. Receiving with a good heart, with not no expectations, but receiving in a way that says, I'm worthy of this. Jesus was worthy of the gifts that the three wise men brought. So I'm I'm saying that it's not, Christmas isn't only about, getting your presents and all that stuff and giving, but it's about receiving with a good heart.
Hmm. Something I remember Phil and I we have give a little Christmas ornament to each other every year. It
Uh-huh.
has the year on it. It's got our name on it and that kind of thing. And that's something that's a tradition we started. And I'm glad we did this the very first year we were married. So now there are 30 ornaments on the tree. We just got the
Wow.
one. Yeah, it's taken up
Wow.
the whole tree. Yeah, I got to take a picture of it.
Woo!
Let you see.
Happy
So
anniversary, y'all.
well, thank you. And they're treasures for us. And
Yep.
it's just
Yep.
that how important is it starting? Oh, let me mention this before I ask you this question. Phil's parents got a really good idea from them. And it's they had the first year they were married, it was a Christmas card they gave each other. But throughout the years they saved that Christmas card and they just put, love their names on it and the year. And of course they'd been married 50 something years, when Mr. Feazell passed away. That was a tradition they started. So how important is it, whether you're married or not, how important is it to start a tradition?
Oh, I think it's absolutely important. That's kind of why I started the Christmas ornament every year kind of thing for my tree. But, this is a ritual for me. I have my coffee in the morning, and it is still morning here. And yeah, there you go. And some people kind of liken the ritual of having coffee and enjoying the morning and that kind of thing with traditions, which are different. So to me, I'm going to say that's a ritual. For traditions, it's kind of like traditional meal at Christmas time, a traditional um, Christmas tree, a traditional, it's the things that you do over the years, one year after another. That's a tradition. This is a yearly, but it's also daily. So this is a ritual, and it's not a habit, because for me, a habit is like unconsciously smoking a cigarette.
Uh-huh.
This is a ritual because it's conscious. I drink it consciously, and I do it with um, all my taste buds there, and the idea of enjoying and relaxing with my dog. So I do that as a ritual. So traditionals is more like a yearly thing where you do a Christmas tree, whether you have a bright one like I have here, or the one some that have only cut one color and they put bows on it, or whatever it is. It's a traditional in their family, from generation to generation to generation. I don't have that. I don't have a family that I do that with. So I built my own tradition by buying an ornament every year, and I put up a tree every year. I love the
That's
story. I love the story of this tree. If you'd like to know the story,
I like the story.
I was I wanted a tree, and I knew I couldn't afford a real tree. So I was looking and a lot of people throw away their Christmas trees at the end of the year and that kind of thing. And so I was looking in the thrift stores, and I came across this tree, and it had been marked $60. It was one of those $130 Kmart Christmas trees when Kmart existed.
Mhm.
So I'm looking at it and I'm saying, wow, that's a pretty big tree. I'd love that tree. So it wasn't one of those straight up kind of trees. It was kind of big at the bottom. So I asked her how much it was. She said $60. So I said, well, I'm going to have to go home and measure my ceiling, measure my room to know whether I can even put that in my living room. But a few days later, I went back because I measured and it worked. And so I was asking her. She was like cleaning out the place. I guess they were closing or something. And the tree was out in the parking lot, sprayed all over the place. I mean, it was laying all over the place. And I said, well, is this tree complete? And she said, yes. I said, well, how much do you want for it? And guess what she said? $20. $20.
It was meant for you to be gifted that tree.
I that's right. It was the gift that year. It was my biggest gift for me that year. $20. So I think everybody can find a way to make their dreams manifest. It just happened that that day was my day. And I came home and there were a couple of pieces missing and one piece was broken. But what the heck? It's a great tree.
Well,
Not
we
my,
can
it's not a Charlie Brown tree. What'd you say?
we can be broken too. and then
And
fix it.
that's
Absolutely.
right. We
Daisy, we're going to have to go into a commercial break. We're going to be
oh,
right back in just a few minutes. We're going to have three. So we'll be right back in just a minute. So y'all hang in
all
there,
right,
okay?
all righty, all righty.
Miracle Pottery. Each pottery item is hand turned from durable stoneware, clay body, and non-scratch high fire glaze. Dishwasher oven and microwave safe. Our handcrafted dinnerware and bakeware will last a lifetime, staying just as beautiful as the day it was born. Each pot is signed First Blue Cross in thanks to our Lord, our name, and then the year. We say a tiny prayer for the receiver of each piece that they receive abundant blessings in their lives. It's not just about pottery. We're located in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains near Minton and Valley Head, Alabama. Miracle Pottery is nestled at the base of the hills at 7871 Alabama Highway 117 between Gadsden, Alabama and Chattanooga, Tennessee. Please go to our website, miraclepottery.com, for more info about our other getaway cottages. You can also call us at 256 635 6863. Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales look forward to serving you. And you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Fort Payne and Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by the locations in Fort Payne and Gadsden. We sincerely look forward to serving you. We are back. My name is Donna Thiesel, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home on IC Radio. We're your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, as well as Abundant TV, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Got one of my best friends with me right now, DeJoly. She's an author, by the way, and a speaker. And let's go ahead and start talking about that right now. How can folks find your works?
Well, they can see me on my website at dejoly.com, dejoly.com. I do a lot of, I shouldn't say I do a lot, but I do life coaching. And that's not necessarily for people who have mental illness. It's for people who just want to get another foot forward that they haven't been able to figure out which way, and to learn how to stay in the present moment. They can also find me on Facebook, and they can text me or email me that way, and I answer everybody's questions or calls, whether I whether I have a good answer or not is a whole other question. But yeah, they can find me that way, and my books are out there. I have 3 books. that have been published in the last, I don't know, since 1997, I guess, was the first one. So anyway, that's how they can
Well,
find me.
I love your books, and they've been, and this is another thing. The books are something you can always go back, and because I pick up something different every time I look at the books, every time I start the study. I call it the study.
Are you on the third book?
Mhm.
Yeah. So that book is a workbook, which I put together because there were a lot of people that couldn't figure out um, how to get joy back in their lives and that kind of thing. And I just wanted to get people writing and to see what they had in their mind, what they were thinking about when they would hear certain stories. And I think we tell stories. We tell ourselves stories. Sometimes they're not true, but we do tell ourselves stories. Um, so to me, I really appreciate that you do read the books and that you have done some of the work that I ask for people to do in the third one. The books are pretty intense. Some of them, some people might think they're intense. They're about my life, and the first two are, and the second one, or the third one, I'm sorry, is about how to make the transition from misery to present day moment of joy and happiness. So I don't know how far you are in that, but it took a while for the second one to come about. The first one was real easy. My background is that I was part of some satanic cult issues, and a lot of people um, that I know were having trouble with the same thing. And I was speaking from around the country, and I was asked to write a book about it. And so I did. And it wasn't really about the nitty gritty of what goes on in a satanic cult, but what it was how to heal from that kind of torture and abuse. And then it moved right into the third one of what do you think? What do you think about your life and how do you stay present in your life? So we'll see what kind of conclusions you draw from that.
Well, I've drawn several, and let me tell you what the conclusion is it's different every time I go through it.
Hmm.
Because I identify something different that for some reason at that present time when I'm going through the workbook, it's not coming forth. But when I go through it again, something else unique pops up, which is good. I mean, it really helps. I'll tell you a few things that out of your readings and out of your discussions and your writings, one thing that I'm finding common, well, several things, but one thing really is be true to yourself. Because sometimes we can live in this little created, especially if you went through things as a child. You learn to make up, yeah, everything's okay when it's not okay.
Yeah,
That's not good.
denial is maybe a river in Egypt, but it isn't good for us as human beings to deny our reality. We have enough people denying our reality. We don't need to deny it for ourselves. And I think it is true. You have to be true to yourself. And that's one of the things Goethe, the philosopher, said was, to thine own self be true. And so that really impressed me as a child when I read that. I don't know how old I was, but I couldn't have been very old. And I thought, that's exactly the truth. You can't deny that this happened. And when I got into recovery for all of the abuse, I had to stop and stay focused and say, well, because for a long time I said to myself, oh, that didn't really happen. That couldn't happen. Nobody would do that,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
But there are some really, I would call it evil. There are some evil people in the world who don't have consciences and who are willing to do that kind of torture to anyone, and especially to children because they're defenseless. So nowadays, when we have the excuse me, I have a cold. If you haven't noticed my voice, um, we have the situation at the border where people are coming through all the time, and they
I was
don't.
thinking the exact same thing.
That
Yeah.
people don't even. It's almost like they turn a blind eye to the fact that there are children coming through that aren't with anyone, or that they're put with somebody that obviously is not one of their relatives. And so those children are being trafficked. And that was one of the things that I went through. And that's not a fun thing. It is not fun. You're taken advantage of, you're raped, you're tortured, a lot of things happen to those kids. And people don't want to and really can't soak that in. They just can't understand how somebody can be so nefarious, so cruel, so horrendous that that kind of thing could happen. But in fact, it does. And I had to come to that myself. I had to say, well, there are all these things that have happened, and each one of them was encapsulated by a part. I go through that part of in my books about being multiple and then not being multiple anymore, and how to heal from that. But it takes a lot. It takes a lot to heal from that kind of abuse, and we're just turning our blind eye to the border. So I just to me that's probably why it's a very big issue for me, is because I went through that and I know what those kids are going through, and even some of the women that are there, and the young gay boys or men are also being taken advantage of. And so you just can't, I just can't even fathom that we're allowing that to happen in our country, in the United States of America, where we're supposed to be caring, loving, protective, and all of that. It just doesn't feel that way to me a good part
Well,
of the time.
I think it's a big money maker. I really do. You can just
You
follow the
mean,
money and figure out why.
yeah, you mean trafficking.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Not the fact that the border is open, but the fact that it's being used for that purpose is very true. Every one of us, I heard one of the senators the other day say that every one of us lives in a borderless state now, because the numbers of people that have come up through the border have crossed every border in the United States. They are in every state now.
Well,
So,
DeJoly, it's right here now. It's not just happening in California. It's not just
right,
happening. It's happening right here in DeKalb County, Alabama.
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And so when you look at that, how many organizations have come forward in Fort Payne, Alabama, or in DeKalb County, Alabama, who are there as watch people for the children and the women who are coming across the border, who are being tortured, who are being trafficked? I don't see one at all. And I'm not saying that because I don't like Fort Payne, because I do. But the fact that most cities, most people don't want to see that, because they can't, it just can't soak in most of the time, because they can't see that there is that kind of a uh,
Mhm.
painful process going on for some people. It's just like, oh no, that doesn't happen. Oh yes, it does. And so,
And it's right here. I know for a fact it is. Less than a minute left in this segment. What would you like to
okay,
say in about 30 seconds?
I'd like to say Merry Christmas to everyone. Hope that all your dreams come true, and that you have dreams, because for a long time I didn't have any dreams. So that you have dreams and that you can see them manifest in the new year. I want to wish you all well and have a good day.
Well, we want to wish you all well too. You're one of my dear, dear loved friends. I really do appreciate our friendship.
Thank you.
I'm
I
looking forward
appreciate
to the spring times when we're going to do some gardening stuff together.
it. Absolutely. And if I hadn't had a cold, I would have come over there to be with you.
Well, I understand. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. You are the apple of our eye. And DeJoly, thank you. Hope you have an awesome, awesome, very Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
We'll see you guys in just a few minutes with another awesome guest. You take care.